Hey there, Sterile Processing Universe and LinkedIn audio event attendees. My name's Hank Balch. You are listening to a special episode, a world premiere episode of LinkedIn audio for Beyond Clean, and in particular for this show that I host called Fighting Dirty. And I've got a special guest today. Many of y'all are tuning in to hear from the man himself, a shoe-in for surgical influence, Johnny Cafero. Welcome to the show with us today, Johnny. Good to have you here.
What's up, Hank? How you doing, man?
I'm good. There's been a lot of chatter about this event. I had high expectations, but we blew past 500 attendees registered for this conversation. So
I like that.
I kind of didn't know what I stepped into.
Hey, LinkedIn audio, man. It's a whole new thing.
There you go. Oh, speaking of whole new thing, this is brand new, right? So this is the first time that I've ever done it. It's the first time Johnny's ever done it. And I'm maybe guessing it's the first time many of y'all have tuned in for a LinkedIn audio event. So check it out. You can kind of Google around as you listen here to figure out how to do it on your end. I won't try to explain it because I'm learning along the way as you are. But I do know that LinkedIn has built this particular platform to be engaging. So you're able to raise your hand in the event, and it gives us a little notification so we can see if you raise your hand, if you got a question to ask Johnny or myself throughout this conversation. So don't be shy, but also don't be offended if it takes a while to get to your question because we've got a lot of things going on and a lot of people tuning in. So before we get too much further, though, I've got a feeling there's at least two people here, Johnny, who don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Can you give us some background on who is Johnny Cafero and what do you do in the medical device space?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you said, Johnny Cafero. I'm just a person of positivity and energy, and I just love being able to create content. I've actually had 3 hip replacements myself, and so that's how I got into the medical space. I got my 2nd hip replacement, and I was like, I swear there's got to be a job here in the orthopedic space or something that has to do with hips, because I feel like I'm an expert now after going through 2 hip replacements. And so I dived into that and got into the medical space after that and became a sales rep for a couple years, and then I dove into the marketing segment for a couple of different companies, and now working with one of the bigger companies out there on the marketing side, doing downstream marketing for hip products. And so kind of full circle that I have a hip replacement in me and I get to do the marketing for the hip team. So it's really, really cool to be able to do that.
Is the hip that you have the same as the company that you're working for right now?
It is. Yeah. Okay. No, it's the same cool. Hip, same company. So it's like okay. I'm a walking advertisement for our company, which is pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is a lot of folks in healthcare kind of go the opposite. They start in healthcare, then somewhere along the way they become a patient. And your story is kind of flipped. You were the patient first, and then you're like, hey, this is interesting. There's opportunity here to make a difference in the world and for other people like me. So I'm going that direction. What was that process like for you? Like, did you go to college to do any like kinesiology stuff?
No.
What was your major?
No, yeah. So my business major was a business major. So I was business management. And I mean, I've always done sales my whole life. And so I went during the summer season after college, I would go and knock door to door selling security systems in like Memphis, Tennessee, Dayton, Ohio, some like really sketchy places. And so I'm like, oh, I can do this sales stuff. But I never knew like medical sales was even a job or like even a avenue of that aspect. And so after I've gotten 2 hip replacements, I like started calling some people and figuring out like, oh, there is an industry out here that like you can actually sell the product and be able to be in the surgery, be in the OR and have that experience. And so my dad was a football coach at BYU. And so I called a bunch of like the ex-football players, and like I found out a lot of them were working for a company called Stryker. And I'm like, oh, Stryker, this company keeps coming up. Like they must be a great company. I want to work there. And so I've done like, I try to get in there, like do a lot of interviews, try to do ride-alongs. I was like, this is really cool. They like be able to take you into the OR for an interview to see if you can handle the blood, the smell, the atmosphere.
That's important.
It is, yeah.
This is the wrong job for you, right?
Yeah, it's like one of the people, like one of the ex-football players, he was like, hey, if you have any queasiness or anything or smells bother you, make sure to put some Vaseline up your nose so you don't pass out or like have anything. I'm like, I think I'll be okay. And so it was a really cool experience because like I didn't know even this even existed at all, you know what I mean? And so then I finally get in and I take this test called the Gallup Test, which Stryker puts really heavily on because it's a personality test where they can be able to make sure that you can fit in and be able to do the job and have this aspect. So I like took the test, passed it, and I didn't hear anything from the hiring manager. And so like one of the occasions I heard that he was going to be in California. So I drove down there and just said, hey, wow, like, hey, I'm actually in California too at the same time. Like maybe we should like connect. I didn't hear
I noticed you didn't respond to my text.
Yeah, like just keep creeping in, like, hey, how are you? Are you still around? Like, I still would love the job. Nothing. And so then 2 days go by, and I'm like stressing out. I'm like, dang it, like this opportunity is going to pass by. And then he tells me to come down to his hotel room and just come hang out on the beach and like flip flops, tank tops, and some shorts. So I hurry right upstairs, put a suit and tie on, drive to the beach, and I hang out with him for an hour, and I'm just sweating. Like, every pore of my body, just sweat coming out on the beach. The only guy...
You don't have beaches in Utah, right?
No,
so
it's
like,
just a dry mountain state. This is new to me. Like, I'm just dying, sweating, and everyone's just like, who's this guy on the beach wearing a suit? Like, what is going on? And so the cool thing is, like, he saw it, and he knew that I was, like, I drove down, and he saw the effort that I put in, and I mean, in the medical sales job, it's hard because you're going to get a no so often that like you got to be persistent. And I feel like maybe they were testing me or maybe they were trying to like see how if I would quit early, but I didn't, man. I drove all the way down to California, put a suit on, and the next day I got the job offer to start in Washington State, and I relocated from Utah to Washington State to start my job at Stryker in the medical field. So,
wow. Now, part of the interview process for med device and the hiring and onboarding process, I'm guessing that they don't have a question on there about, hey, are you any good at social media? And in fact, they probably do the opposite in onboarding and try to scare you off of doing anything remotely related to tying your personal brand with your professional brand or company. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that kind of the typical conversations that you see out there in this space?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't ask if you're big into social media. They don't ask if you ever create content or whatnot. I mean, they probably, like you just said, they scare you to the point where like, hey, it's better to stay off or it's better not to. But I mean, as I was interviewing at the process at the company that I'm at now, it's like they knew that I was really big into LinkedIn and loved creating content and loved being able to put out there. And I'm like, listen, I'm not going to stop, but I'll also be compliant and go through the regulatory process to make sure that like we're all on the same page, that like nobody's getting in trouble or nobody gets their hand slapped. And so I think they really appreciated that I was upfront and honest. Like, listen, I'm still going to continue, but I want to follow the guidelines. So like we're all good now. You know what I mean?
So there's a ton of folks in med device. I mean, it's just a massive industry, and there's all kinds of different corners of it, right? Like we're on the sterile processing side of things over on our team, and so we're all about medical device reprocessing, and there's all kinds of random things you would never think about. Like there's chemicals, there's brushes, there's equipment, there's tables, there's software, there's consulting.
It's massive.
All within this little bitty micro niche of this, again, massive medical device space. So there's a lot of people, but you don't see that many of them compared to the mass actively online in the ways that you are. So why do you, what's the value for you? What's the strategy? What's the philosophy around why you give so much focus to producing and being engaged in this digital content space?
Yeah, so I mean, I live in Utah, and it's like the tech valley of the world right now, Silicon Slopes they call it. And so there's so many tech companies within Utah, and I was seeing all these companies just like blow up, and all their employees posting stuff about tech and their company, and thinking outside the box of how they're going to brand and market themselves and even their company. So I'm like, and I look at where I'm at, and there, like 2 years ago, there's nobody medically on LinkedIn. Like, it was a ghost town. There's like a few individuals that were like the staple points and all that, but like there was really nobody to be found. And I was working for a smaller company at the time, so I'm like, listen, I have a story about my own personal journey. I am at a company that not a lot of people know about. How do I kind of mix the two and build a trust that I can be able to almost sell this product in a way where I'm not selling it, but creating good content where people will remember me and be able to like, oh yeah, Johnny the hip guy, I'll be able to use his product because he's got the same issues and he's more trustworthy or reliable. And so then it just kind of steamrolled from there. Like, I'm like, oh wow, like I'm getting traction. This is awesome. Like people are I'm posting some cases and different things and different unique situations and like motivational things that I've overcome, my 3 hip replacements. And so like, it's resonating with people because people have gone through elements in their life and people have gotten issues, and they just sometimes they don't want to talk about it, but they hear other people talking about it, they can relate and resonate. And so I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I'm actually helping people. Like people are like feeling good about this. And like, so why do I give so much time in producing digital content? Because honestly, I feel like I'm helping. And like, if I can be able to help one person a day, or like be able to feel like, hey, listen, like I got your back, like I know what you're going through, don't give up, like that makes me all worth it. Because I mean, I've had Instagram, I've deleted it, and I feel like Instagram's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. But where I focus on is LinkedIn is like, look at us, look at what we can do, look at this network or community that you can build to be able to help bring people along. I mean, the pie is so big in this world, why not share a piece of it and bring people along with it? And that's why I feel like LinkedIn has been such a powerful tool for me. And for a lot of people, as you can see over the last year alone, like the medical space has blown up on LinkedIn.
It's exploding. Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to kind of turn this to the audience here. If anyone has a question or comment around platforms. You heard Johnny just kind of hate on Instagram. I don't know if I necessarily agree with your description of Instagram, but if you disagree with Johnny or you have your own insight on why you're active on LinkedIn, why you're listening to this LinkedIn conversation right now, please raise your hand and I'll invite you into the studio. It looks like we've got one here. Let's see if we can get you on here with us.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey,
doing well. How we doing?
Good. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts about digital platforms? Actually, if you would introduce yourself to the audience, and then tell us about your insights and perspectives on this digital space.
Yeah, of course. Hey, my name's Yosef Aberati. I've been in medical sales for going on 5 years, 5-6 years at this point. And as far as what I just started a business development director role for a company actually out in Utah.
Nice, the land of milk and honey.
There you go, Silicon Slopes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I'm working for a medical device software company, and I'm covering the whole U.S. basically in a business development director role, and I've never really took a lot of time to focus on LinkedIn. And hearing you speak, Johnny, is definitely enlightening. Pretty big on Instagram. I would say crazy big, but I'm verified on Instagram and things like that.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
Is that like a pink check mark over there? How do they verify that?
Pink, maybe only a breast cancer awareness month,
Okay.
There you go.
No, it's a blue check mark, and I have not figured out how to translate, the success on Instagram to LinkedIn. And I guess that's my question. What are some of the topics that people want to hear about? I know you got to keep your audience in mind, just like any platform. I guess probably need to take inventory of company my team's doing and just highlight that. But any pointers for someone just starting out on LinkedIn or just restarting on LinkedIn to kind of engage their audience?
Awesome. Great question. I'm going to move you back to listening here, and then we'll let Johnny bring the answers from on high.
Yeah, I mean,
Johnny,
yeah.
What do you think?
No, I mean, like you said, you got to be able to create a platform, right? And what you're intended to create like your target audience, right? So are you just using your personal brand to just talk about product, or do you have 4 pillars of success that you want to talk about, or 3 pillars of success? I mean, I talk about 4 things that are always on a usually basis. So I'm building a personal brand, so I'm building trust with it. So you'll know when you come to my page that you're going to get motivation, you're going to get fashion, you're going to get me talking about networking, and you're going to get me talking about medical. And anyway, in those capacities, you're going to be able to know if you come to my page, that's what you'll get. And so you just got to be able to know where you're going to go in your target audience, and not just talk about product or just talk about like what your company's doing, but like do it in a different way and think outside the box, because we've all seen the same product posts. We've all seen the different things. And I feel like if you can just think, please stop. Yeah. Just resharing company pages and all that stuff. But like, I think what I've done is this create things outside the box and be able to like be engaging in different ways. And like, I'm also commenting and being able to be active on LinkedIn platform. It's because with Instagram, like you hit like on that person's post and comment, they're the only person that see it. But with LinkedIn, when you comment or like on it, it goes out into the whole network. Your whole network sees it, and so then people can jump onto it and be able to collaborate with you. And that's why I feel like LinkedIn is so great, because you can be able to collaborate with so many as they see your post. With Instagram, it's just so narrow-minded for that one person. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've just only dabbled in LinkedIn more lately in the last couple of years, and so.
I mean, if you're wrong, Johnny, it'll be the first time you're wrong. So,
but listen, there's different audiences, right? Millennials are on Instagram. I mean, a lot of people are staying on, and are a lot of millennials coming on. I mean, I'm a millennial. What am I saying? But like a lot of the younger generation medical sales reps, they're on Instagram, and they haven't started on it. They haven't started on LinkedIn because they've always heard that LinkedIn's for old professionals or back in the day. But I mean, that's my take on it. I don't know if that helps, Yusuf.
So we got another question here, or questioner. So I'm gonna let Joanna here on in just a second, but I want to kind of segue into what you highlighted. You mentioned the kind of 4 different categories, right, that you're building content out of under your personal brand, and in that fashion one, like I know we're going to talk about the shoes here in a moment, but I think that's really going to the heart of the philosophy that works in any digital platform, but including LinkedIn, is authenticity.
Yep.
You're not a machine. You don't just work for a company. You are a person, and you like other things besides just work, and you happen to like fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
And including that into your content, I mean, I think that's so powerful, because it tells people, again, that you're real, and that they can identify in all those different areas. If you like the same food, if you like the same football, if you like the same places to travel, if you happen to like the same shoes, like that's where all those true deep connection points are made, not in those marketing slicks like you mentioned.
Yeah.
All right, looks like Joanna put her hand down, but if anybody else has any comments or questions about the
she's
the
back
digital
up.
space. Oh, and she's back. Okay, I'm gonna let her in here. All right, Joanna, are you there?
I am. Hi, everyone.
Boom. How's it going?
What's up?
Welcome to
well.
the show.
Thank you.
So what do you got? Got a question, comment?
Concern?
Well, I just wanted to add to that conversation, because I think, for those who I haven't met, I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Proximy in the telepresence space. And
I'm really
The
cool
Zoom for the
technology.
OR.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think you guys are really hitting the nail on the head here, because what we're finding on LinkedIn these days is that human connection. When you come to my page, you'll obviously see a lot of really exciting things going on with Proximy, our mission and our vision globally. But I think what makes LinkedIn special and unique these days is it's really shifting into that connection of learning about your people, right? You know, who you're interacting with, who you're doing business with, who you want to do business with, and, you know, really showing what type of human you are, and, you know, a little bit more about yourself, your lifestyle, what makes you tick. And those dialogues that begin to happen with those posts is really next level. And I can't tell you enough how much over the last 2 years that I've been with Proximy, these relationships have evolved with the utilization of Proximy and getting out there and just giving that human touch to what we're doing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
awesome.
I mean, the cool thing is, Joanna, like,
right.
I would not even known kind of what Proximy was unless like you were doing your personal posts. I'm like, oh, she runs things, she works out. I mean, I do all that stuff. But then you see like, oh, she was just in the OR training somebody through a camera setup. I'm like, oh, what is Proximy? And then I look it up. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool setup. But you were branding for your company even without even knowing it, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that was really cool to be able, what LinkedIn does for us is we're telling our own personal story and we're actually helping our company at the same time.
Yeah, it's a huge balance, right? Because you don't want to turn it into a Facebook.
No, absolutely.
Man. You went there.
You went there.
All right.
But thank you guys.
Thank you.
No, thank you for coming on, Joe, and I appreciate you listening. All right. I'm going to segue, Johnny, to another kind of little fireball you threw out. You basically said, I'm going to put words in your mouth, but you basically said that LinkedIn is kind of for boomers, and you know, Instagram is for millennials, or at least that's what people think.
Yep.
Right. But I'm starting to see more and more, like, I know we're talking about the broad medical device space, but that includes surgeons. I'm seeing more surgeons than ever coming into LinkedIn, creating content in all kinds of different ways. You know, it's not just talking about their cases, like you mentioned. What's going on with that? And is it just the kind of younger generation of surgeons? Because I think I see some older names and faces on there as well.
No, I mean, it's cool because, like I said, I mean, if you looked at it 2 years ago, you wouldn't find any surgeons really on there. I mean, maybe they were, but they were just not doing anything. But I feel like back in the day, like, surgeons were very competitive in their space, and like, oh, like, people would, like, they'd stay away from each other or they wouldn't collaborate. But like, now that I've seen on LinkedIn, there are so many surgeons collaborating with each other and talking about cases and like helping and asking for help and like, hey, what would you do here? And it's a really cool community to be able to see that, because I mean, who doesn't want to have a better case outcome, or who doesn't want to be able to make their patients like feel better, or make sure that like they have the best possible solution for that? And I feel like the discussion's awesome. And so it's like, I don't really think it's just for the boomers or the new line of generation surgeons coming in. I feel like it's just the new wave that's coming in. Like, people are talking about it because I think a lot of people now, like, they search the surgeon and they're going to come up, like, the first search thing might be their LinkedIn, and they're going to go in and see, okay, this person's got some posts, he's got some family posts, he runs marathons maybe, or he goes ice climbing or something along the lines where like they can relate, and like, oh, I could be able to go to the surgeon and be able to relate with him. And then you have like the bedside manners, and then you're already connected. And I feel like that's the cool thing and power of social media, is that you're getting kind of a relationship maybe with that surgeon beforehand, because you kind of know him or feel him. And that's where the power of this really goes.
I know we've got a lot of device reps tuning in, and I kind of would like you to give a freebie tip here. So like a LinkedIn hack. How do you go about finding these surgeons and connecting with them, and not in a way that makes them want to block you? What are your thoughts on that?
No, so I mean, I like, my thing is I create content that, I mean, surgeons come to my page as well too, because I'm in that space, right? And so, but at the same, but
that's an important point.
It is,
yeah.
because like, if you're gonna create stuff that like it's going to be noticeable. If you're going to talk about medical, like at least come up with stuff that's going to be interesting for them to come to your page. First off, that's great. But then there are so many people out there posting stuff. So find the cases, find surgeons that are talking or posting, and actually like go in and comment on their pages and like comment on, have a discussion, and like make sure that you're visible in front of their page. Because like, you know how many times you probably get it, how many messages are in your inbox, people are trying to sell like financial plans to you or all this stuff.
I think we have money.
Right? I don't know why they think this,
you
but
saw my bank account,
yeah, like it's all zeros right now. I'm actually credit cards, but no. But the thing is like, that's the cool thing, is if you're getting in front of them right then and there, because they get notified if you write on their comment. And if you're like, maybe you wait 2 to 3 days, so then that the rush of that post is not hidden with your comment, and then like you're right there in front of them, just instead of like trying to knock down their door at a clinic, you're never going to get in anymore, because those days have changed. I mean, Matthew Ray Scott does an amazing job sending these personalized videos to these persons' inboxes and be able to get in front of them right then and there. Maybe you'll get a response, or maybe you won't, but I feel like if you get in front of them by commenting and like, even if like, you'll be able to see where they're commenting, and maybe you jump on their comment as well into the next post that they've posted on. Like, you just got to track down and be able to just go through the feed of things and make sure that you're visible. I mean, that's the number one thing, is, are you visible on this space, and why are you visible? What is your reasoning behind it? Are you trying to sell, or you just want to be a friend? You know what I mean? Like yeah. What is the content behind it, or reasoning?
Speaking of being a friend, even after Matthew Ray Scott like dogged you so hard for the beard, you still show some LinkedIn love.
Absolutely.
To his strategies. So I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Hey man, I can't grow the beard like you guys.
It's a spiritual gift. Okay, so I know we've talked about the personal brand a little bit, because you outlined kind of the 4 category approach that you have, and anyone who follows you has probably seen you talk about the Cafero way.
Yep.
And so talk kind of through anything else about building that personal brand. I know we had a good question about like, how do you get started, or like, how do you transfer the momentum like maybe you have on other platforms into LinkedIn? And then I'm particularly curious about, how do you leverage your brand and your following for good?
Yeah.
That it's not just like you said about Instagram, it's not just me. How do you grow this and then actually do something positive in the industry with it? Yeah,
no, so like I said, that's why LinkedIn is so powerful, because you actually get to build a tribe or a community within it. And like with me and you, I had no idea who Hank Balch was 6 months ago, right? And then you started commenting on stuff, I commented on yours, and then you made a joke that you always say something about Johnny or Sally, and I'm like, yeah, I always make the best comments or questions, and you're like, oh, this is great. But like, and then like you start helping each other out, and then we're doing this together, and we're building a platform, and then we're helping other people. And what I love the most is the fact that like I get to be able to help people along. Like if people are looking for a job, I can be able to like use my network and be able to like, hey, does anybody have a job opening for such and such, and be able to do all that good stuff and be able to help people. And or I'm trying to get a new like product out in a way, but I don't want to talk about it in like the regular traditional format. And so I want to be able to make sure that like I use it for good and like help people. Or am I doing volunteer work? What volunteer work am I doing? And like I feel like everybody can be able to benefit from LinkedIn if they're helping each other out. If they're trying to be able to like, what is their end goal? Is their end goal trying to sell? Is their end goal? But my thing is like, I was LinkedIn before there was even LinkedIn. Like I loved networking and putting myself out there and meeting new people just because that's my personality. And so when they gave me this platform to be able to like be on a broader scale, on a worldwide scale, I'm like, wow, I can help a lot more people, whether it's like telling my story of overcoming stuff, or telling like motivating or networking, or like, hey, such and such, can you be able to help this person because I know you're really good? Like Claire Davis has been phenomenal. Like if there's a friend that
I'm talking to Claire here soon.
Yeah,
I got my interview.
There you go. See, you're gonna love it. Claire's amazing. The cool thing is like she helps so many people find jobs and get that. And I had a close family friend looking for a job. I'm like, I tapped Claire. Never met her never in person, right? But I've never met her in person, but I feel like I'm best friends with her because of LinkedIn, and she helped at that. And so when you come together with your tribe or community, you can be able to help so many more people.
I love that. We got a hand raise here, so I'm going to bring Jennifer Wynn into the studio with us. And if you don't know Jennifer, Johnny, she is another shoe person, shoe fan.
There we go.
What do y'all call yourselves, Jennifer? Like, how do you just
sneakerheads?
Describe your love of shoes. Yeah, let me try to unmute you here. Yeah, if you're going to unmute yourself, Jennifer, that way we can hear you. All right, we'll let her work on that. It's like Johnny. So go into the shoe brand, because you mentioned you're all about fashion as one of those kind of 4 pieces of content.
Yep.
And you mentioned your challenges around the hip. And there's a tie-in with shoes, so kind of tell that story for us.
No, so like my parents used to dress us up, me and my brother, in bow ties and always looking fancy as we're little, and it just kind of stuck with us, right? So we just loved getting dressed up, and then we get into the space, and I'm in the medical field. I'm like, EJ, like the shoes out here, like the comfortable shoes, they're ugly. Like they're just not my cup of tea. Like it's just not fashionable. But then like the super expensive one, like the nice ones, they're just way too expensive and out of my price range when I was like a starting rep at the beginning. So I'm like EJ's that comes up, he's like, well, I'm going to start a shoe company. I'm like, perfect. We got to make sure that they're super comfortable because I got to stand in them for 16 hours out of the day because of my hip replacements and be able to go through that. And so, I mean, we're Italian, so Italians make great products, but so it's Italian design. And we looked into the industry and like, okay, who makes the best pair of shoes? And so my brother did a lot of research and he found that Spain makes one of the best pairs of shoes out there. And so he went out there to the manufacturing, found a great manufacturer, and we got the website up. And then we just wanted to make sure that like, okay, listen, I'm in the marketing space. I know how to do a little bit of marketing. I'm pretty good at it, I think. And I'm in a great industry where medical people always need shoes. And so we kind of
everyone needs shoes.
Everybody
really.
needs shoes, really. But like,
you just got a random job where you don't.
Right? I mean, some surfers, come on. You mean they don't need some shoes? I mean, that would be my dream job, to be Kelly Slater, but that's a whole nother topic. But no, so then we just wanted to get out there, and we haven't really done any true digital or marketing or like campaigns. It's just like we just been using LinkedIn and a little bit of Instagram, but like it's pretty cool because like the Cafero way, right? That's my hashtag. And so like it's been awesome. Like there's been like a little movement on LinkedIn is that every time that someone gets one of our pairs of shoes, we give them an experience, because when you unpackage the Cafero shoes, like you're getting the whole 9 yards. Like you're getting shoe trees, you're getting them wrapped in bags, you're getting this foil with Cafero on it, you're getting this letter from us. And so it's like, it's a whole experience. And so what people are doing is they're recording it. Like Tony Cambria, one of our good friends, he recorded it and put it up on LinkedIn and like, hey, I'm part of the Cafero family, you know what I mean? And so that kind of took off. And so within the last like 6 months, like we're getting a lot more traction, and it's been a blast, a fun side hustle to be able to have that. And I mean, a lot of sales reps are getting it and like, hey man, I got a pair of your shoes, can't wait to show you at the next conference. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, and I love it because I love shoes. I mean, I'd be able to get to wear my own shoes, and as I'm walking through airports, some guy stops me. He's like, hey, those are great shoes. What are they? I'm like, they're my shoes. He's like, no, clearly they're on your feet. Like, no, it's my company. Right. It's my company, my shoes.
Literally, we made them. I named them. I designed them. That was something fun. I don't know if this was in the spring, if it was last winter, but I saw you kind of doing a naming, like name this shoe kind of thing. Like just really creative conversations on LinkedIn again, right?
Yep.
So it's the same network. It's the same medical device space, but you're talking about something completely unrelated in one sense, but still completely related in the other sense, like what you talked about, because in this space, having a pair of good dress shoes is a must-have. So.
Yeah. No, the cool thing is, like, you nailed it. Like, we brought in customer engagement, which a lot of, like, look, think about it. Bigger shoe companies will never, like, ask. It's very rare that I've seen ask their customers to help them name a pair of shoes, to help them feel like they're a part of something, like an experience. And I mean, it was awesome. We had like over 250 comments of people saying, "Hey, we need to name. You should name them these. You should name them this. This is awesome." And we actually like said whoever was the winner that we chose, that we're gonna give them the free pair, and we did that. And it was like such a fun experience to be able to do that. And I bet that person that named it was like, "Hey, I got sense of pride. Like I named a pair of shoes that will go as long as the company stays afloat."
Right. Well, I mean, the shoes are still going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. The shoes will be, but yeah, exactly.
Jennifer, did you get a chance to figure out the mute button there? I know this is all new technology for everyone, so I'm sorry we got the technical challenges. Okay, looks like she's still on mute there. If anybody else has a question or comment around this kind of synergy with your day job and your side hustle, like Johnny mentioned, and how they kind of come together through LinkedIn, we'd love to kind of bring you
Looks like
in the studio.
Claire has a question.
Here. Oh, hey, speak of the angel. Your ears were burning there, Claire. You must have known we were saying good things about you.
Only good things. All good things. All good things.
That's right. What's up, Claire? I think you're on mute, too.
Hey, good thing I came up here, guys.
Yeah. Good thing you tuned in.
Hey, well, first I want to ask, thank you for letting me come up. You guys, you both know you're two of my favorite people who I've met on LinkedIn, and I love what both of you are doing. I think it's smart. I think it's you're building really intelligent and fun brands, so kudos.
That's so
Thank
nice.
you so much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
We're just trying to keep up with you, Claire.
That's right.
Well.
That's right.
So
we're number 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, I might never leave your stage.
That's right. Keep telling me good things.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first question is, Johnny, when are you going to come out with women's shoes? Because I know we're all waiting.
Good question. Okay, yeah, let's go with that question first, Johnny.
Yeah, so let me tell you why. We got to perfect the men's line first, so that's like we're going there first. But we've done a lot of market research, and listen, women return a lot of shoes, and so we want to make sure that we like hit the nail on the head first, that like we're kind of not get a lot of shipping payback. And so because we've done a lot of research, and women buy like 7 pairs of shoes and then they'll return like 6. Men, if
you guys are too lazy.
Yes, we're too lazy to return them, so we'll just keep it. So our business strategy is to still focus on the men's. Like, we definitely want to come out with women's shoes, but I mean that's the short answer right there, Claire.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I can definitely vouch. My husband falls into that category 100%. So, okay, my next question for both of you, actually, because you've been busy on LinkedIn and other places building your brand in a real way. I want to know what you were doing last year with your content that you're not doing anymore, and what you think you'll be doing next year that you're not yet doing.
Oh my gosh.
Hank, I'll let you take that.
That's a complicated 2-part question.
Yeah.
I want to forget both the parts.
Yeah, what was that?
Good question. I'll try to answer them all combined.
Okay.
I've been active on LinkedIn since 2013, but really active since 2015. And just like Johnny, when I came into the space in sterile processing in our little bitty niche of the universe, like nothing was happening. And so all those years, they squished together. I have no idea what was going on last year versus what's going on today that I wasn't doing, because it's all like it's a lifestyle. It's like breathing, like, how many breaths did I take yesterday? I don't know. I just know that I'm still alive today, so I took enough to keep me going. That's kind of what the LinkedIn strategy has been for me, is if I'm growing and staying engaged with, then I know that whatever I'm doing is working. I will say this goes past like a couple of years, but I think that LinkedIn groups are dead. I remember back when they were like awesome and engaging and the algorithm supported it, but now LinkedIn groups unless it's like a private group or anything, I don't see any of them that are actually doing what they should do. So I have stopped doing that, and I'm not doing that in the future. And this has been such a fun LinkedIn audio event. I'm definitely going to be doing some more of these. I can tell you that. Now, Johnny, what do you think?
No, I mean, I didn't even know there were LinkedIn groups that you could be a part of.
Yeah, well, that's because they're so dead. They're out there, but they're dead.
No, so I mean, I used to post a lot of cases. I used to post a lot of in-surgery cases. I used to post like these total femur replacements. I used to post distal femur replacements, major cases that were like kind of like jaw-dropping or like very gruesome. And LinkedIn started flagging them and blocking them, like too gruesome for it. So I'm like, I kind of stopped doing that and stopped doing OR pictures because HIPAA compliance, and I wanted to make sure that I was always compliant for that purpose so I didn't get in trouble. So I started going away from actually surgery cases, and I just started building a tribe or a network and being able to connect with people. And I think that was the biggest thing, is commenting and liking and continuing to be active instead of just posting and then just hoping people will come to you. And so, and I also will add people that are of interest to me. And some people don't think that's a good idea just to add random people, but I'm like, why not? Like, build your network. That's all the time. Yeah. Like, there's no point to not add people. I do too. Sometimes I get banned.
Like, first break all the rules. Well, yeah, if you come to LinkedIn, like, don't follow the LinkedIn rules, except for if they start like blocking your post. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So no more gruesome.
Yeah.
Good answers, guys. I mean, I think it's always changing, right? And I love what you're doing. I think, as long as we're not posting a bunch of polls like last year.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
But they get so many impressions. It's hard move, but not too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Claire, what do you feel like? What do you feel like you're doing differently than last year? Because you're super active and big time on LinkedIn.
I'm curious about that.
Man. It's been a journey. So, like you were both saying, I'm listening to what people want to hear from me. So for a long time, I thought it was, stories about specific resume. So for everybody who hasn't met me yet, I'm Claire Davis. I do resumes for medical salespeople. And so I used to post a lot of resume tips, but really, hit the snooze button, guys. Nobody wants to read another resume tip. And frankly, I get it. But what I found really does resonate is kind of like you were saying, Johnny, when I start sharing my story about getting laid off 4 times, people feel that. And then I feel like I'm able to connect with people on a deeper level. And should they need help with the career piece, then great, we go there. But so I've switched the way that the things that I talk about. And then I've also done a ton more video. So I love what you guys both mentioned. That video is, here to stay, and Matthew's doing a ton of that. And that for me has been a complete bootstrapping trial by fire experience. And I now love video. I prefer it. It's made a huge difference in building relationships in the DMs. I use it now with every client. So if someone sends me their resume today, they are getting a video back via email. So if I suddenly get, how many people here, like 52 emails today, then I'll send all of you a video. It might take me a while, but it's a more direct way, I think, to connect with people. And for the fact that we've had to all be apart for so long, and we all just meet over the internet here, video seems to really work for me. So I'm liking that.
Awesome. Well, I know Johnny's got an interview coming out with you next week. Is that right?
Yes. We launched today's Medical Sales Leader podcast on the 17th.
Congratulations. Great.
Thank you. I'm so blessed to have guests like Johnny and soon you too, Hank, which is awesome.
I'll be there.
That's awesome.
And then we've got a ton of stuff in there. We've got Brendan Kumarasamy, who used to be a professional competitive speaker, who's going to be teaching us tips. We've got a ton of sales trainers.
Yes.
Oh, let me tell you. Oh my goodness. You've got to listen to his framework about telling your story like a jigsaw puzzle. It's really, really good. And what he'll tell you is that, he didn't set out to start teaching CEOs public speaking tips. He set out to teach like 7 18-year-olds public speaking tips, like stuff that we can all really get down to a basic level and understand right about the time in your life when you have to give speeches in a room full of your classmates and it's terrifying. And he makes it really simple. So I think you guys are going to love it.
Yeah,
it's
well,
good.
You cannot be a leader without being able to speak to groups. I learned that like early on in my career is I'm gonna have to get through this. I'm gonna have to learn how to lead. Like, you don't have to be an awesome speaker, but you're gonna have to speak to groups. So it's worth diving into that expertise. And yeah, we'll really check that out. I don't know if there's
maybe I'm weird because I love speaking to groups.
Or anything, Claire, to that, but if not, we'll try to figure out a way to just share that out to the network too when that goes live.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. I got to run back in and make a sandwich for the kiddos. But
thanks for coming on, Claire.
Listening in the audience. Thanks for all you do.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Claire. All right, so we got a couple of other hands raised here. We're gonna bring Amelia in, who's been waiting a little while here. And then Johnny, as we bring her in, I want to talk about like some of the challenges or the barriers, like what keeps people from doing this. We've been talking this whole time about, man, this is awesome, this is great, do it, it works, and what keeps people from doing that. But before we get to that, it looks like Amelia just left. Okay, if anybody else has any questions, go ahead and get your hand raised and we'll get to that. Yeah, Johnny, so what's the holdup? What's stopping people from?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's first off, I mean, it's a two-part thing. It's maybe their company, right? They're scared of what their company is going to think or what they're going to say, or they're going to shut them down. So why should they even start? But I feel like the number one reason why people don't do it is themselves, and they're scared of what could happen or what people will portray of them or how they'll portray to people. And for me, I had it too. I mean, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start posting. And because your first time that you start posting, like I had maybe 1,200 people, and all 1,200 of those people were either high school friends, college friends, or neighbors. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, they all know me, so it's okay. But then like as you start getting bigger and like start getting more of an audience, like you're like, okay, am I going to come off as conceited or a narcissist, or people are going to think that I'm just like, think I like myself because I'm putting pictures of myself, or they're going to see my name popping up so much time. But I think once you just kind of don't care and like you're actually doing it, like some of my writing is actually benefiting myself. Like when I write stuff about my hip experience, and like it actually is like almost therapy for me. So I almost don't even think like care what people are going to say, because it's actually helping myself. And some people don't realize that like as writing, it's almost therapeutic. And so like, but then it's being consistent. Like how do you stay on top of it? Because one post is not going to just get you anywhere or get you on a platform. It's being consistent. And so I told myself, okay, I'm going to post 3 times a week for a year. And I held myself to that. And I'm like, and it got exhausting at some points. I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, what's the point? What am I doing this for? And every time I would think that, I would get a personal inbox message. Hey, thank you so much for your post. I really appreciate what you just gave us, because I've been going through that same thing. And sometimes I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And your post really motivated me and uplifted me today. And I'm like, bam, that's all huge. I needed to hear. That's all to keep going. You know what I mean? Like if I can just help one person to be able to feel a little bit better about themselves, and that helps me feel better about myself, then I'll just keep going. So I think the biggest barrier, I don't know what you think, Hank, is it's ourselves that get in the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I have an answer to that. But before I go into that, I do want to say you kind of just convicted me of something. I love those messages that you talked about, the inbox messages, or even the comments. It's like, Hank, I love your stuff. This is so impactful, whatever. But I don't do a good job of sending those messages myself. I think because I'm like so much in creator mode.
Yeah, that's true.
I come to LinkedIn and I'm just pouring out that I'm not in that framework of the consumer mindset. And there's like way more folks on LinkedIn that are consuming, which is good. Like we want people consuming content. That's why we're making it. But I need to challenge myself to be more active in those kind of messages, because they will lift up that creator like for months. If you get a good message that says, hey, this like changed my career, or like I started thinking about something else and now like I'm this much better at my job, or I left my job because you inspired me to go out and do big things.
Yeah.
Like, it does matter. So,
and I would also say is like, if you like, when you send those personal messages, like almost make it a comment on the post, because other people need to see it as well too. So when you only send a private message, I know it's private and I get that.
That's true.
But if you write it on a comment on a post, how many more people are you going to affect, because they're going to see it and maybe they'll comment like, hey, thank you for saying that, because it's actually helping me too. And like, when one person can say thank you, then multiple people can say thank you. And I feel like I do a lot better job on people's posts as I write comments. Like, I'll write thank you, like, this is really impactful, I love this, thank you so much, instead of sending them a private message, because sometimes they won't get the message because they got a lot of followers and they'll just get lost in their inbox. And so I'd rather just have it posted, and then maybe a couple hundred people will see my comment on that post and they'll piggyback on it. So
yeah, no, that's a great point. No, we got some hands raised. I'm going to answer Johnny's question here on what I think has kept people out there from building their personal brands, and then we'll get a couple more questions in, and then probably wrap. Like, time is flying here. I cannot believe we're almost to the end of the hour, but hang in. We'll make the next 10 minutes well worth your time. So yeah, I think it is the paralysis of perfection many times, that if we can't get the perfect video, like Claire mentioned, she's doing a lot of videos, if we can't get the perfect video or the perfect post, we're not good at graphics, then we're not going to do it. Guys, what matters most is that your passion is being communicated through your content, not that you're great at video, great at audio, great at graphics. That does not matter. If you show up, that's 99% of it, is just showing up on LinkedIn consistently, like Johnny said. The other thing, though, that I'll say, this kind of goes back to that consistency part, is I see a lot of folks who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. And they post for like a week or two. And then they're like, I'm not seeing the snowball, and so I quit. Like, really stick to it. You do need a good 12 months, like you mentioned, to start to see all of the connections and all the impact in your inbox, on your profile, that personal brand exposure to speaking and writing in magazines, like all that comes, but it does take time to build. All right, let's pull in both these folks here. We got Reed, and then we got Yosef back with us. Go ahead, Yosef.
Go first,
yeah.
Since I already talked.
Okay. Well, yeah, Reed, if you get off mute, you can go first here. If you can't get off mute, then we're gonna bump you out of this thing. No, okay,
he just bumped.
Okay. Sorry,
Hank, you're so mean.
I know. I try to just scare people off. Okay. All right, go ahead.
You know, I have to say this has been super helpful. Whenever I saw this event pop up, I was like, I didn't even know LinkedIn had this feature at all. So thanks guys for doing. Super helpful. And also, Johnny, those shoes are awesome. I just went to the website and checked them out, and they're very sharp. I'm a big fan of high quality shoes as well. So
appreciate that.
You did a great job on that. Yeah,
you just got another sale, Johnny.
That's
what it sounds like.
Sure. So, yeah, man, I gotta stop by the thrift store, Allen Edmonds. So.
Yeah, no more Allen Edmonds. Cafero shoes, man.
And for sure. And Johnny, I do have another question for you. So, whenever you got the opportunity to start in this marketing role, I think I've asked somewhat similar question when I came on before, but I guess my question is like a template, like to kind of build the marketing presence of a company on LinkedIn. You know, what does that formula look like? A moment ago, you mentioned the consistency. People start for 2 weeks, but then they stop posting. Could you kind of enlighten the group on, you know, what that consistency looks like, or what that formula looks like?
Yeah, so I mean, my consistency on creating a brand or marketing myself, I mean, or if you want to talk about a company, it's so my template, I mean, it's different than most people, but what I did, I told myself I was going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I don't know why. I just felt like 9 a.m. in Utah was good. 8 o'clock in West Coast time, they're all waking up. And 11 o'clock in East Coast was a decent time where they're like need a break or something. And so I don't know why. But then what I found out that worked is each post would carry on after each other. So Monday's post would have a whole day and wait, and it would still continue the traction. And then Wednesday's post would still do better. And then Friday's post would still continue to stay consistent. And then my impressions would stay up. And then actually it would continue to get more people to connect with me. And so the more you post and the more you're out there and the more people are like commenting or writing on your thing, it's going to hit other people's network and it's going to resonate with other people. And so it's like, I'm in the medical space, but I'm also trying to branch my brand into the fashion space, which is probably even bigger than the medical space on LinkedIn, massive. And so I'm like, how do I continue to create a brand where it's not convoluting fashion with medical, with all this other stuff? And so it's like, you got to find a balance. I don't know the exact template. I just know what has worked for me and the consistency that I did. So.
No, that's awesome. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and looks like Reed got the mute there button working. Yeah, there you go. Welcome to the show, Reed. Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, my name is Reed. Thanks for doing this. I'm a senior in college right now, looking to break into medical device once I graduate. And my question to you is I've been using LinkedIn to, meet with reps and managers. And, I've reached out to a few hundred people. And I found some decent success from it. But from more of a kind of personal brand, what are some tips to kind of get started on that and to engage more through LinkedIn?
Okay. I'm gonna tackle this one first, Johnny. I know you're the guest, but
take it.
And then I'm gonna let you go next here. I am a huge fan of specialization. Where I see people fail in trying to create these brands is they try to become the expert on all things medical device or the expert on all things fashion, like Johnny was talking about. I really think here's a phrase out there, I don't know who said it, but the riches are in the niches, or the riches are in the niches. No, that's where the magic happens in building a brand, because then you become that shoe guy like Johnny, right? Like they may not remember his name, but they know there's some medical device guy out there that does shoes because he's in a niche and he's actively creating content. I'm the guy out there in sterile processing that's fighting dirty, right? So I'm not trying to be the know-all about all things sterilization or all things disinfection. Like I'm really staying in my lane. And if you can find that one slice of the industry that you want to get in, as you're graduating college, right, you're not going to know everything about the job or the company that you first start out with, but you can find news articles out there and videos, and you can find the people on LinkedIn who are experts and curate their content and then bring that content through your page to your followers. And then you become that guy or gal that when everyone wakes up in the morning, you've got a new piece of content tailored to the space and your niche. Even if you didn't create it yourself, you did the hard work of curating it all into one space. I mean, that's where the magic happens. What do you think, Johnny?
No, I agree. I mean, you have to find a niche, but you also got to figure out what you're passionate about, right? Like, why are you going into the medical space in the beginning? Like, why are you going? Like, mine was, I had my own hip replacements. I had my own hip issues. Like, there's a lot of people that have had medical issues. And so talk about that story, bring that story to light, bring that brand into light so people can be able to understand where you're coming from and why you're passionate about getting into medical field. And then your passion will leak through the page and be able to, people will want to follow you through that, right? And because I have a passion for hips, like I love hips because I had to go through it as a patient. I sold it as a sales rep. I've marketed it as a marketer. I've also been on so many different sides. I've had to go against it at the same time on the different things. And so it's like I have found, so I'm Johnny the hip guy, right? And then I've created a niche where like my team's called the hipsters. And so like everybody's going to remember the hipsters and be able to go through, and that's our niche. And it's like you nailed it right on the head. Like create a thing where your brand is a passion, and be able to know, like, and it's a trust. Like, you think, like, you know what you're gonna buy at Nike, right? They have given it to you time and time again. Just do it. They're gonna give you a great product, and so that's what you're gonna build, as a promise or a trust, and that's what a brand is, right? Your personal brand is what you're gonna produce every single time.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Reed, for the question and for tuning in. And as we wrap up here, right on the money, I want to thank you, Johnny, for a terrific hour. I mean, I could not have planned this to go any better, to have any more value. Engagement of the audience was terrific. We didn't get to half of the questions that I wanted to ask you, but that means maybe there's a round 2 in store.
Absolutely. Maybe I'll interview you.
Hey, look at that. Okay. I'm down for that. I'm down for that. That's a yes from me. Okay.
Deal.
That's an automatic yes. But yeah, seriously, Johnny, thank you so much for your time and transparency in just sharing all the ways that your personal and professional brand can be built on LinkedIn. And I want to thank everybody tuning in this afternoon on this new platform. Thank you for bearing with us as we figure out the technology, and for pushing yourself to kind of get out there and join us too. I know that's not the easiest thing in the world to go live in front of a bunch of people that you don't know, but for those of you who did, really appreciate that. So yeah, Johnny, any last words as we close this up?
No, just go for it. I mean, people that haven't jumped on, like, just go for it. I mean, have fun. Don't take it too serious. And I mean, just have a blast. I mean, I love doing it. I mean, of course, some days it's work, but I mean, it can truly just be fun for you. And it can be a release. It can be an outlet. It can be therapy. Think about it on so many different levels, and just have fun. I mean, that's what I do, is like, I have fun, and that's the best thing. So thanks everybody for coming. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit. I'm not an expert by any means. Some things have worked and some things I haven't. So.
All right, that was Johnny Cafero. Go follow him if you're not already following him on LinkedIn. Go track down the Cafero shoes and start subscribing to the Cafero way, and just how you live your life and how you interact in the digital space. And as we say at Beyond Clean, until next time, keep fighting dirty.
Thanks, everyone.